If we're procrastinating, it's because we have everything we need to get something done. We have all the resources, the time, all the material that we need to do something, and we're just putting it off because we're lazy. We think it's not going to turn out well. We don't want to do it. We have some reason. We're just procrastinating. If we're postponing, it means we're putting it off until we have a resource that we need. For example, if I had wanted to do this video and my battery was dead and I couldn't find my charger, I would have to postpone the video until I could had the resources to do it. But I had everything I needed today. Everything was charged up. I was just fooling around. So I was procrastinating. That's the difference between procrastinating and postponing. Now, I know some people say that they like to procrastinate because waiting until the last, they get that little adrenaline rush and they like do better work, but test yourself and see if that's really, really true. Most of the time you're going to find out when it's a high stakes assignment or project that breaking it into smaller tasks and staging it backwards so that you get everything done and you're not having to wait to the last minute is going to give you a more satisfaction about the job. And really and truly, if you're getting like your little adrenaline rush from your teachers giving you assignments, aren't you kind of letting these adults control your thrills and your drama? Can't you really find some more entertaining ways to get that little adrenaline rush than waiting to the last minute for school stuff? Think about it. Let's get into some ways that we can organize those projects and assignments that we're given that we have to do, not just in school. One thing is to set a goal for every day. You need to set at least a goal that you can accomplish every single day, and preferably 2 or 3 things that you can do every single day. There are numerous studies that have shown that successful people, including athletes, actually write down what they want to accomplish. Maybe it's a long-term goal, and they actually tape it or put it somewhere where they can see it, and it's there in front of them all the time. For example, you may have these goals that you set for yourself each day, like read chapter 12 for science, do your math homework by 4 p.m., and buy your supplies for history poster. Now, this is an all academic to-do list, and most of the time, if you're a well-balanced person, you're going to have more than just academic stuff on your to-do list. Sometimes just writing it down and looking at it and then checking it off when it's done gives you that satisfaction of getting things done. A more advanced tip might be, okay, which one has to be done, and you code that in A or number 1. Which one could I put off until tomorrow? Maybe that's buy the supplies for history poster, and that may be a 3. So if that helps you to code things 1, 2, 3 or ABC, it's called prioritizing, and that way you know which one to do first. Another advanced tip is to estimate about how much time it's going to take you to do each one of these, and we'll get into some more of those tips later on as we delve into the book. But just writing things down on either a Postit note, scrap piece of paper, and looking at them helps you just say, hey, this is the stuff that I really need to do. And I'm encouraging you to get a scrap piece of paper, get something, and write down each day at least 1, 2, or 3 things that you want to accomplish that day. If you just get in the habit of doing maybe 1 or 2 at the start and then get with 3 things that you want to accomplish that day, those are going to put you some good habits in there of getting your mind saying, hey, these are the things that I want to get done today. And then as you do them, you check them off, and at the end of the day, you have that sense of satisfaction of, hey, this is where I said I was going to go. I went there. It's proof I did it. It's really, really good for the self-esteem and developing self-sufficiency. And another thing to do is to you get these really large tasks that we have to do, and they just seem overwhelming. It's like, how can I even get started? I'm just like overwhelmed. I think I'll just go like take a nap or go for a walk or watch TV or play a game or something like that. I'm just too overwhelmed to start. So let's look at some ways that we can take those big, overwhelming, large tasks, large assignments, and break them into smaller pieces, so that we can accomplish those smaller pieces and get that sense of satisfaction and say, yes, I'm making progress. So there's an old joke that you're probably too young to have heard. How do you eat an elephant? Well, 1 bite at a time. And you're thinking, who wants to eat an elephant? That's just cruel. That's just mean. I'm a vegan. Okay, the joke is, how do you take a large thing and break it into smaller tasks? If you have a presentation, for example, you might just want to brainstorm and write down all the pieces that you're going to have to do, and then you maybe want to write them on another piece of paper, the order in which they could be done that makes the most logical sense to you. For example, if you're doing a presentation, maybe you want to make your 10-slide template with an intro slide because your teacher has told you you cannot go over 10 slides. And also, just a little side note, if you're having to talk, the rule of thumb is 1 minute per slide. Don't put too much information on each slide. Keep it simple. Maybe the next thing is to read the chapter or whatever you're supposed to do your presentation on and find 5 key facts. If you're limited to 10 slides, 5 key facts is going to help you to narrow that down. Then put your 5 facts into one slide, and you're not doing all of this in one day. And then you want to go to the very end and make a reference slide. So now you've used up 6 of your slides. As you're driving, going to sleep at night, because that's when we get our best ideas, or taking a shower, you'll think of something for the other 4 slides. Maybe it's a lame joke, maybe it's a question, maybe it's a graphic, something else is going to go on for those other 4 slides. Maybe a review for your audience. Then find some cool graphics that really relate to your overall presentation. You can add those in. Remember to cite your sources. And then, when you have the product finished, you want to store it in the cloud and on a flash drive so that it's accessible to you. Actually, as soon as you make something, you need to store it so that all your work is not lost. The overall thing is to take a large job and to break it down into manageable tasks. Again, seeing it like that makes it doable, and then you get the satisfaction of checking off each thing as you do it. And you don't necessarily have to do them in this order either. And the last thing involves that grown-up thing of using a calendar. And I know that a lot of people don't like to use a calendar. They'll say, oh, I just put everything on my phone and my phone tells me what to do. And maybe that works for you. If you can use something like Google Calendar or some kind of app like that to calendar your work, then do that. If you need to have a hard copy, like I prefer a hard copy to write down my tasks and things like that need to be done, and then I use my phone apps to remind me when I need to leave and when I need to get ready and do things like that. So I use the phone more as a reminder, say, hey, remember you got this thing you got to do. Then I put the things I need to do like detailed down in the planner. But use something. So let's look at how you can calendar your work to make sure that you're not overwhelming yourself, that you're not overextending yourself, that you're allotting enough time and resources, because you don't want your whole life just to be about school, do ya? If you do, you need to get out and do some more stuff that's fun. Calendaring your work is going to take a little bit of skill, but let me give you the overall how-to. Using taking a big job and breaking it down into small tasks. If your presentation is going to be due on the 27th, you're going to look at your calendar and put that due date in on the 27th. If you look at your calendar, you see that you've got something going on the weekend of the 21st and the 22nd, so you're not going to work on it then. And because we don't procrastinate, we're not going to try to do all of that here, because something fun or something that's going to demand your attention is going to happen there. Technology is not going to work, or something that's going to happen, and then you're just like lost. So we're going to back it up and say, okay, I'm going to make my 10-slide template maybe on the 12th, maybe on the 13th, maybe on the 14th, whatever you've got going on, and you actually write that in. And then you're going to put the time in to read your chapter and make your 5 notes. So maybe for you, the Sunday afternoon is going to be the time to do that. And then you just start penciling in or writing in time slots to do all the other pieces. Instead of trying to sit down and do all this at one time, because goodness, who wants to do that? You divide it up into tasks and just back up, put your due date in and back up and see when you can start doing these pieces and peppering the pieces in on your calendar. That way you really end up with a more polished product. You're not brain dead by the time you get to the end of it. And really and truly, if you just set aside like maybe 15 minutes for each one of these, well, that one's going to take a little bit longer than 15 minutes. But if you set aside a little time, like in advance, it's not going to seem like it's as tedious. It's not going to seem like it's as much work. So that's one way that you can backwards plan for your projects. So what we're trying to learn how to do is to schedule enough time and resources and energy to do school and do it well and not be overwhelmed, and leave enough time and energy and resources for other things in life that are important. Make a list and check it twice. I used to make fun of people who use these little Postit notes until I found out how useful they were. A little Postit note this size is a really, really, really good size to write the activities for a day or a weekend on, because it's not that big and you just can't write that much stuff on it. So it's really a good habit to get into. Plus you can take them with a sticky on there. You can stick them anywhere you want to, like on your phone, on your mirror, somewhere in your car, somewhere you're sure to see it. So I really can't get through a day without writing stuff on sticky notes and putting it somewhere where I'm going to remember it. If you don't want to spring for the money for sticky notes, then you can use really anything. You can use cardstock, you can use pieces of paper that no one wants anymore. You can even use the backs of envelopes. Let me show you some ways that I make my little reminder list. Here's an example list of stuff I've got to do this weekend. There's only 5 things on there. I could put little boxes in front of them and check the boxes off if I wanted to, or as I do them, I could put a check mark in front of them, or I could actually just mark through them with a light colored marker so I can see what I marked through. If there's something I don't get done, I can leave it undone, or I can circle it to remind myself I need to do it if that's the most important thing. Remember, you can also ABC or 1, 2, 3 your things, like this is the most important, that's the second one, and that's the third one. Just a way that you can do that. Something I do in my planner is I write the things down that I need to get done, and I have a different color marker for each day of the week, and as I get the items done, I stripe them off, and that way I know when I did them. I've got a record if somebody asks me, hey, when did you do this, things like that. And I also write down like what I eat so I can keep up with my calories and my protein grams. But that's another video. This is an example of using something that people were going to throw away. It's just old used envelopes. And you can just fold them in half and make yourself a to-do list. You can even stand it up so that you see it somewhere. Do the to-do list thing. This is a little more advanced list. I was taking 2 classes for my doctoral degree, and I had items that needed to be turned in or that I scheduled. So this is kind of like a to-do list and calendaring my work. I listed it like this and posted it on my kitchen cabinet to remind myself that I needed to get these things done by these dates, and marked them off as I did them. I also put them in my planner to remind me there, but this helped me keep my head wrapped around everything I needed to do for these 2 classes with just one visual. One good tip is to make a list and check it twice. I get a lot of satisfaction of checking that stuff off, highlighting it, and things like that. Once you get in the habit of making a list, you might too like it. The next tip, and I know I've talked about this before, is just don't procrastinate. Most of us procrastinate about something every now and then. It's either something we don't want to do, or we don't know how to do it, or we just being lazy. But I talked about it in a previous video. If you're procrastinating all the time, and then saying that you do a better job if you put things off or wait to the last minute, maybe you're just addicted to that deadline high, but that's somebody else giving you your deadlines and somebody else kind of telling you what you're going to get excited about. Is that really how you want to live your life? Can we just do the things that we have to do that have a deadline for someone else and then get our little excitement about something else? I don't know. It's something to think about. It's your life. You've got to make these choices, but being self-aware, it's going to help you make better choices about having a good quality of life. You can test this yourself. You can find 2 projects or 2 things that you have to do that are pretty similar, and you can procrastinate on one and just do it and get that rush, and then plan ahead for the other one. Get it done. If you have any leftover time, you can fix it or do what you ever want to, and then compare and see which process you like the best, which product or outcome you like the best, and now you're going to know that about yourself. You're just doing like a little research project on you. And somebody else can't tell you what's going to work for you because now you know. Take 5 minutes and work on a closet. If yours looks like mine, even 5 minutes will help. Most of us have a corner of shame. Spending 5 minutes will at least make some type of dent in it and make us feel better about it. Spend 5 minutes trying to sort laundry or fold laundry. You really can do it faster than you might think. Spend 5 minutes reading a book or something that you have to do for school or work. 5 minutes can get a lot done when we're focused. We really can get a lot done when we're not distracted for 5 minutes. Take 5 minutes and just go get some vitamin D. Stand outside and look up at the sun. It's probably going to be good for your neck and stretch your back. a 5-minute focus on one task and not being distracted can really make a difference.